we are back and we have guests. I know you know all of them. They are really very popular on the ground with the young people. I have Miss Meghan on my side. Can you say hi?
Hello.
And there is Mr. Alexander.
Hello.
For the first time here. There's my friend Peter NKOTANYI, and we are lucky to have you. So basically, we are going to review the attributes of the Rwandan youth. Last 25 years, the country has had and has made some, epic strides, by the government of Rwanda and the leadership of President Kagame. And I know he is not been alone, and the country has not been alone. As the government, as the parliament, you and I, and the rest of the youth, we've been part of this movement of making strides 25 years back, and we are still shining. Second, country in doing business, and many other rankings where we head. But all those things being done, I know there is a space for the young people. There is a space for the youth. What's your view on that? What do you think the Rwandan youth have contributed right 25 years back and still contributing in your own observation?
Thank you. I'll have to first mention that us sitting here as young people is an achievement in itself.
That's true.
I think the youth now, well, compared to 25 years back, the youth is more vibrant. It is working more in private sectors, be it public sectors, be it anywhere. They're investing more of their efforts, investing more of, I'm not sure if I'm going to say the financial kind of investing, but they can. Some do, but sure. Not every youth does, because I'll just say from 1994 to where we are now, we have achieved more than the youth back then has.
That's true.
Yeah.
Interesting. We'll be back. This is just an introduction. Mr. Alexander, I know you serve the youth with many platforms, and I know you've been doing this for quite a half a decade or plus. How have you been seeing the young people, being part of the strides, the success, epic movements of achievements done by the country? But what kind of ratio, what kind of portion do you think youth have contributed to? From your own physical observation, the last time you've been serving the youth.
Okay, thank you very much. I will first start with, giving a value, a platform. When youth are given a platform, that's when you realize what is inside of them. So after 1994 genocide against TUTSI, we were so much blessed with the government that took over. We are so much committed to give platform to young people. Since the participation of youth during 1994 genocide was actually a big percentage, now it was another chance for young people to take advantage of good government to participate. After now, youth were given the platform, that's when they started exercising the potentials they had through different programs that were both organized by private sectors and government sectors. And I believe that through such movements like Youth Impact Mission, NGOs like African New Life Ministries that really came into the system of Rwanda and trying to help young people know
and those are organizations that you serve, both of them.
Yeah, so it has really been like a kind of, the platform itself has been a spark of these young people coming out, trying to practice different things related to potentials that they had before, of which were not recognized, before 1994. So I think basically unlocking potentials of young people, and young people knowing that it's themselves now to rebuild the country that was lost during 1994, it has really made the success we see today vivid and inevitable.
So that means you confirm that the strides made by the country of Rwanda 25 years back, they have not been around. The youth have been part of the strides.
Actually, just like Ms. Meghan said, even us being here,
It's a contribution.
it's a contribution. Of which contribution we get from the contribution of the country and the government itself.
Interesting. So your attributes, basically based on the attributes of the elders. All right. We will see what Mr. Montagny-Peter says on that, because actually his day-to-day work is speaking to over 120 high schools and universities in Rwanda as part of his task and mandate as the country director of Youth Impact Mission. We'll come back on a few of the details of which each of you guys have been doing on the ground. But first, tell me, how have you been seeing the progress, the strides made in the high schools where you serve on a daily basis?
Thank you so much.
And as well mention on how, because I know back in the years, early 2000, there was a lot of, genocide ideology in the high schools. And I know your NGO focuses on eradicating that. So how has been the progress, and what's the perspective now? What's the perception of the genocide ideology in the high school students?
Thank you so much, Frank. I think Rwandan youth have been blessed with this platform that Alexander has been talking about and Ms. Meghan. And Rwandan youth were able to use the platform to build the nation.
That's true.
We are glad that we have a very good political situation that we are interested in, and we have platforms and ministries that help young people to think for the country and to contribute for their country. It is in that regard youth organizations that we are able to be founded and work in cooperation with Ministry of Youth and National Youth Council, which our Youth Impact Mission is among. And maybe I won't say a lot on other organizations. Through the life we have been in Youth Impact Mission.
For how many years?
We are now aging to 10.
So 10 years you've been doing the same thing, eradicating the ideology and reconciliation of the youth and all that.
We've been trying to make young people think of building a country that doesn't have genocide ideology by equipping them with different understanding and different mindsets. And it's interesting that, like, throughout that, we have some stories that are interesting. There is one guy who...
Tell me the story.
Who was like, I want to study my classes. We met in a conference. He came to one of our conferences. He attended the conference, the platform for youth. And after attending the conference, we were sharing and teaching about unity and reconciliation, loving one another, having a heart and patriotism, like heart for the country. And then he was like, I think you want to change my mind.
And his mind was?
What was your mind? And he said, I live with the people who killed my family. And my heart is, I want to graduate my high school, join the military, get the training, get the gun, go at my village and shoot all of them.
Wow.
And they were like, that is not part of constructing. It is part of destruction. And we were able to follow him up. Today, he's in the military.
And he's killed some people?
He's serving in the military, but his mind is that he wants to guard the people that he wanted to kill at first.
And that's the story of the guy who told me he's now back in the conference. He's always inspiring. And
yeah, he's trying to help other people in the conference, and his contribution is helping other people to change their ideology. Young people in Rwanda in these 25 years have been able to go out of this bondage of what we are told by our parents to hate, and we are now in another world of loving one another. I think it is through young people that Ndi Umunyarwanda can work better, because these young people can easily understand Ndi Umunyarwanda. They were not told Ndumuhutu, Ndumutwa, Ndumututsi, as much as it was told or taught to our parents. So it is, we took this chance and we told young people, and we were told too, and we are seeing impact. And young people are able to contribute to building the nation. And they are contributing in many ways. They are having some foundations to change history of the country. They are, like, we organize 3 conferences, big mega conferences every year. And in these conferences, young people are transforming. As we are seeing their lives are going in another direction, which is better than where they have been. They are now against genocide ideology. They are now trying even to fight on social media as the role of young people, not the role of our elder fathers. My dad doesn't use social media, but I do. It's my responsibility to fight genocide ideology on social media than my dad.
Interesting. Well, man, I think I was very strategic inviting 3 of you. Ms. Meghan is one of the amazing public figures who are engaging in the government activities day in and out, agriculture, and she's a social media mogul, and now she's been having a lot of guests of honor speeches, discussions in different events around during this week of commemoration. And I invited her because of her strides already in the last 1 week. Mr. Alexander is doing a much amazing work on the ground with the youth, together with you. And I appreciate the work Youth Impact Mission is doing, changing over now 50,000 young people over the last 10 years. That was a great progress. I enjoyed reading the reports. And now you're here. We are going to have an amazing show. And we're going to basically review the strides that the country has made, but also the attributes that we, the young people, have contributed in the strides made. But then first and foremost, I want to appreciate also the people whom we attribute the attributes we've made on the ground. Now, let's go back in Nainte when these young men, our age, were attacking the country, trying to liberate the people. And as well as years went on during 1993, 1994, there was, bloodbath caused by the government of that time, led by Habyarimana. And, magically, in a miraculous way, the country was liberated, the people were rescued from the tragedy, and now we have a peaceful country. But those things were not done by the angels from heaven. Those things were done by people, by young people actually, moreover. By that time, Mr. Kagame was in his early 30s, or late 20s, I think. But he was our age, in a way. What is that word you have to say in a way of thanking the same team of young men and women who led to such a country we have today? Before we kick on with some other things, Ms. Meghan, what is your message that you want to say to the team that was led by President Kagame by that time? You feel like, wow, if that wasn't the team, I wouldn't be missed today. So say some message.
Thank you. I am always grateful for a country we're living in, but I am even more grateful to the people that are behind this beautiful country we enjoy today. I love hearing stories of people who liberated this country, how they, their main goal there. And I love to see more of the results now. So as a message of gratitude, as I would really pour out my heart to them, because it is hard to find the right words to tell people who have literally forgotten about their lives, forgotten about their families, forgotten. Some left their parents without even mentioning it to them. Some left their families. Some left, they did not care about themselves. Sure. They were selfless, and they thought of us, this young generation. They thought of another generation that wasn't even born yet.
That's true.
So I wouldn't really find the words to be grateful to them.
So dictionary is not enough for you.
That it isn't.
Interesting. What is that scenario story? Maybe you've heard so many stories. This can be about, the RPA. This can be all the sacrificial stories maybe you've heard. A certain scenario story that just crushed your heart and you're like, man, these people were beyond selfless.
Well, I'll talk about one. So there's a man, I'm not going to mention,
Sure.
who was the only child the mom was remaining with, because the elder siblings had already gotten married and everything. So the mom only had him, and then he left the mom without even mentioning it. He didn't mention that he was leaving. He didn't mention that, because obviously as a mother you would worry about your child going, for something like that. You'd worry about their safety. In fact, you wouldn't even consider getting them back. So he thought telling the mom wouldn't be a good idea, so he left off. But he always comes back to my mind, because as he was there, he always prayed that he would find the mom safe.
Wow.
And he prayed that the mom would see his kids. And he's always grateful that that got to happen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So when you look at that man, you feel like, man, this man was something else.
Everyone there was totally something else, because that's one story. You never know what other stories hold.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Mr. Alexander, what is, in a way of, also attributing, recognizing the sacrificial, selfless work done by the current elders we have, by the young people of that time, who were, attacking the government that was killing the humanity? What is that message you want to say in a way of, appreciating them? But also, what is that scenario story that when you resonate on that, you feel like these men and women, these young men and women were something else? You feel like if you were the one, you wonder if you could really do such a great sacrifice.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm always actually grateful to such a sacrifice these people made. And let's look on how someone is in a comfort zone, having all it takes for him to have a better life. So let me start with maybe a story that always clicks in my mind. So imagine President Paul Kagame is at a school in the United States of America, where most of the youth of today wish to go and don't come back, having all the facilities, not actually worrying about the future. The only worry I think he had in his mind was to liberate the country. And now, the battle starts, things are on fire. He decides to fly back to the country, into the fire that was taking place. So that story challenges my mind. He
even comes illegally.
He comes illegally.
The campus didn't know.
Yes. And now he decides to leave his comfort zone, of which most of the people couldn't, if they had that chance maybe to be in America, having facilities, going to college, and also having his personal dreams. So, leaving everything behind and deciding to come and liberate the country, even when it wasn't predictable if the war or the battle would be successful. But because of the resilience and the committed spirit he had, I think that always rings in my mind, what a kind of sacrifice. Young people of today, they can refer to and rebuild the country. I think we have already rebuilt the country. What we need now is to say, now these people took a step forward, to commit themselves, and even...
If this young man left America, where everything was, a walk in the park, and, he was on a scholarship, and then he just left the...
Imagine Rwanda of then had no definition, and nobody could even wish to come to, apart from such kind of people who said, this is our country, we have to liberate it, we have to liberate our people. But in fact, in a clear, practically, nobody could wish to come in this country.
Actually, these people were fighting for the country that didn't even feed them. These people were at least you can fight for a country that has one time ago, did wonders for you. Maybe paid school bursary for you, maybe. But these people were fighting for the country that they don't have any clue about.
And actually, frankly, you will hear many stories. Most of the people who went to, for the training to come back and liberate the country, they went because they wanted to fight for their families, for their country, and reaching on their arrival after maybe the war, the Rwandan genocide, they found their families are gone. What kind of spirit can a person have after even what he or she has been fighting for is lost?
That's true.
And you keep on serving the country. We have those people who are still serving the country wholeheartedly, regardless, despite the fact that...
Absence of a family member.
Yes. So I think that always goes beyond my mind.
That's a good story. That's a good scenario. The scenario of Mr. President Kagame of living in the USA, a country of which is a dream of every young man today, and African young men across...
But I think it's a different story today, because Rwanda we have...
I'm not talking about the country of Rwanda. I'm talking about the Rwandan, the African youth who are crossing the sea every day.
There I understand you.
Mr. I was about to call you the name. Mr. Peter, aka Bishop. So tell me, what is that same thing you have at your heart? A message of gratitude you want to say to these people, to the elders of today, the young men and women of that time, who took such a selfless, a decision to attack a very stable in terms of resources by that time, and then they felt like we have to lose everything and try to fight for the liberation of this country and humanity that is being abused in the country, and stop the bloodbath. What is that message do you have? And what is that scenario story that you can share, that when it rings or resonates, on your mind, you feel like, I salute these people?
My message is, we are more than grateful to these people who liberated our country, and we are beyond proud to be called Rwandans and to have a country like Rwanda. And I would say to them that we have not yet paid the debt we owe them. We still have a long way to go to be able to pay them. But I think their hard work was not in vain, because young people of today can recognize their sacrifice. My message to them is, you were not fighting for nothing. You were fighting for the country, and we have the country. And as young people, we are committed to uphold the dignity of our country in appreciation of your sacrifice.
Interesting.
And the story
that resonates and you feel like
I will tell is, one, I heard many stories. One of them is my brother's story, but I wouldn't share that. I heard a story from one of the generals who liberated our country. And he was a general, and they told him, you are a general after all. You don't have to go to lose your life, to shed your blood.
Lose your ranks.
And lose all those ranks, and fighting for nothing, fighting for something that you're not sure of getting, because it was too hard for very few people to fight massive of armies who were well trained and well equipped. They had no hope of winning the battle. And the guy was like, becoming a general in a foreign land is too small to me, to the extent that being in my country and being very poor in my country, like being a giant guy, young people who is energetic, but very poor to the extent that your trouser is torn on the back. But have a country is far better than being a general in a foreign country.
In other words, he would be a wizard in his country than being a crocodile in another country.
That's what he said.
Interesting.
He said, I would rather be a dog in my country instead of being a lion in a foreign country.
Wonderful.
And
What a commitment.
it takes courage and sacrifice to do that. I think if young people of today can have that courage and sacrifice to that extent, we can make Rwanda a great nation.
Are you speaking to the diaspora who remain in the diaspora for the rest of their lives and never come back to serve the country?
No, I am speaking to every Rwandan, to every person wherever they might be, with a blood, with a Rwandan DNA, with a core in their mind that calls them Rwandans.
Interesting. That's very amazing. I'm very impressed that I have such a huge panel with expertise and experience on the ground. Now let's come back to the current, attributes either we've done or we have to still uphold. And this is a task we have as the current youth. There's a lot going on social media, like you said, of which your father cannot, fight against. But there are people who are still, whose business of day in and day out is to fight against, the rebuilding of this country, and as well deny the genocide. Some of them, they call it double genocide. Some others, they call it this and that. And this causes, anguish to the survivors and to the people who are, giving all they can to build this country. And most of these wars are done on the social media, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on YouTube. People are having gatherings all over the, in the Western countries, wherever. We have such a wars. In fact, these wars, these are cyber wars. And these wars are huge, because these wars can only be fought by the young people who have, social media handles and smartphones. Now, I want to ask Ms. Meghan, you are aware of such wars on the social media that are terribly against our progress and our strides, mostly denying the genocide, against the Tutsi, for their own selfish reasons. What do you think Rwandan youth have been trying to do in a way of combating that, but also what do you think we should do more?
In fact, I believe that these people who are fighting against, fighting for our country to go back or fighting against our development on social media are very few compared to what we are. In fact, I would say the youth is an army compared to those people, because those people are really few, but I believe they're strategic.
And they might be committed more than us if we are not serious.
Exactly, might be committed more than we are. So a message to the youth is, first of all, how committed are we to fight for our country? How committed? And no one is asking you to go on the front or on the front line and get a gun and kill or what. No, but the resources that our country gives us, the resources that our government provides for us, it provides internet, it provides everything we need. So how are we using those resources to give back to the society, to give back to the government? I believe if someone created a war on social media, if someone said something terrible about Rwanda or the genocide ideology, which happens a lot. Most of the times, these genocide ideologies are passed through the internet, through the social media. But what do we do as the youth? How much effort does the youth put into this? So
how do you see if you review, how are we, the Rwandan youth, and how are we in comparison to how they are?
Well, I'm not going to compare that, but we surely should tell the truth to ourselves. They are more committed to destroying us. And we should be more committed to rebuild, to build ourselves, in fact, to build our country, to fight for our country, not to go back where it was back then. We all understand the fact that we do not need our country to be back there. So what should we do? It's fight back.
It's far back.
Yeah.
So posting, so that means the tweet matters a lot. The 1 second YouTube video matters a lot.
Yeah, in fact it does, because I always say the internet, the social media have now become more popular than cafes. They have now become more popular than restaurants. We meet more on social media than we meet in restaurants or in cafes or in, you know, anywhere where we used to meet more.
That's
now
true.
the social media has taken over. So how many minutes does it take for you to, you know, to correct someone who has mentioned something that is not right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Just takes a second.
It just takes a second.
And what's gonna be your commitment? I know your project is around agriculture and all that. So, but then beside all that, what do you feel like you're going to contribute in a way of, you know, painting the image? It's not actually painting the image, it's spreading the image because our image is already painted. What's going to be your contribution in spreading and trying to put the Rwandan image out there in a way that your spreading of the image that Rwanda has will, in a way, contribute to that what we've been talking about?
Yeah, thank you. So I've heard people talk about yeah, like when you go abroad at the airport and your passport, you know, says Rwandan. Now people start getting more interested, like, oh, Rwanda, where genocide happened, or Rwanda, like, is it Hotel Rwanda, like
yeah,
the movie?
Rwanda, the current year, the Hotel Rwanda movie.
Yeah, that we always meet those kind of things. If you travel, you meet those kind of things. You meet people asking you if you're this or that. You know, we always meet that kind of thing.
So if they ask you, let's have a scenario. If you go to, let's say if you land in Brussels and they ask you, are you Hutu or Tutsi? What do you say? What's your
You simply mention to them that you're Rwandan.
Interesting. If
you're Rwandan. There's no Hutu, there's no Tutsi. You're Rwandan.
But they have the information. How do you convince them that there's no Hutu and Tutsi?
No. In fact, there is no.
So you told them that that was a long history
that was history, and in fact it was false.
That's
true. You show them how false it was.
Interesting.
So I'm more Rwandan than people think I am Hutu or Tutsi.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great hashtag. Now we're coming to the end of the show, but I want to ask Mr. Peter. I want you to speak as a country director of Youth Impact Mission, of which your mandate is to, you know, install values, virtues, and principles of unity and reconciliation in the high schools of Rwanda. I want to know, how do you guys do it, and how do you think are you going to commit more to do it in a way that we will not allow the strides made to go back by any fact?
One, we operate in more than 120 schools. We have clubs which are called YIM clubs in high schools, and we have other clubs out of schools in villages and local areas. And what we do in those clubs, we are mentoring young people. And in mentorship we give them, we are trying to bring unity and the reconciliation among young people.
Through trainings?
Yes. Through trainings, we organize conferences with them. But then those clubs in high schools, they meet every week. They have one day to meet every week, depending on their calendars in their respective schools. So we are committed to keep guiding them, mentoring them, and equipping them to reach out to others. We have seen young people trying to bring unity and reconciliation in their clubs, in their schools and their communities. And we are committed to do this. We do organize vision conferences, like youth conferences. We gather thousands of young people under one roof for 4 days. We equip them with a lot of understanding, like a lot of knowledge, different strategies of fighting against wrong and uphold what is right. And through that, we are committed to keep impacting young people, because we believe when you transform the youth, society is transformed. And it was sad, maybe this is a story that you didn't ask me for.
And I would love to hear it. Actually, I was about to ask.
When I went to the US, I reached the migration offices, and the guy who was checking my passport was a black. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this guy might be an African. To my surprise, he was an American, and he has never stepped in Africa. I invited him to come to Rwanda. He asked me a very annoying question. He said, what good thing can I come to see in Rwanda?
He will be shocked and surprised.
I had to to spare some time to tell him good things about Rwanda and why he should come. And I asked myself many questions, why doesn't he know good things about Rwanda? Is it because they are not there? It's just because we are not able to share them worldwide.
They are not fed with our current news.
We are not feeding them. And Martin Luther King Jr. said, he said, it is not wrong, those who are hating me, and their noises are not very wrong. What pains me and what disappoints him is the silence of those who love him.
Oh man, that's so good.
What is worse and what is very bad is the silence of Rwandan youth who cannot share the greatness of our country, the good things that we have in our country. The noises of those people who hate our country, they are not surprised. What else should they do? It's making fake news as it is saturating in the US. It is making fake news, making negative comments about our country. But it's not a surprise. It's their responsibility. Mm-hmm. But what are we doing about our responsibilities?
Wonderful.
We need to wake up, and we are far better than they can.
There's a saying that says a tragedy against humanity is not because of the bad people, but the people who do nothing.
You're right.
I think that's a supplement to that. Interesting. So, Mr. Alexander, as we come into the end, you serve majority of the, you serve in the church, in the ministries, as you do also in the NGOs. I want to ask you on the side of church. You are, at the heart of the, various, youth Christian movements. Do you think there is still ideology in the Christian, congregations? Do you think there's a way, there's progress? I mean, in 1 minute, what's the status? What's the perception in the Christian, movements?
Okay, thank you very much.
You share some, so I want to.
Okay, thank you very much. When you look at the church that I give most of my time is New Life Bible Church.
I didn't want you to mention the church.
And I just want to say thank you to my pastor, who is
Don't
even
mention
the phone. It's okay because you can never actually know the goodness of the fruit unless you know how deep the root is. So that's why I want to bring that. So when you look at churches of today and compare them with the churches of during 1994 and before, so actually, as we all know, churches participated, they contributed to the to the genocide. But now when you look at the churches, you will find most of the things, when you look at the gatherings of young people, now the message is different. The message is really filtered. Before you even share, you have to be asked which information. Because now, it's a platform where you can poison people or, give people life. And now young people have come up with a sense of coming together with the oneness spirit, of trying to develop something that will not only impact their lives, but that will impact the country generally. Sharing maybe portion of a story related to what Peter has been saying. I happened to go to India late last year with a brother. So reaching there, we happened to get a chance to interact with different, specialist doctors and different, government officers. And this is what I loved the most. I was with this brother, and now we went in the hospital. I had gone for treatment issues. And now reaching in this big hospital, meeting an Ethiopian there, he asked us, you look Africans, and I just want to know where you come from exactly. We told him we're from Rwanda. After mentioning Rwanda, these are the two things that I love the most. He mentioned. He said, "Oh, Rwanda, clean country, with a good leader, President Kagame, with a good gospel, church stuff." And we kept on sharing. He said, "You are really Rwandans." Now, he has never been to Rwanda, but he knows what Rwanda is from church perspective and actually youth perspective, generally on a general level. So I think now we have a challenge of which we have been given by our elders. A challenge of setting a platform for us.
So we take up the button.
And I think that now it's us as churches in the present in the country, youth movements like Youth Impact Mission, NGOs like African New Life Ministries, and every upcoming initiative to uphold and make sure that we take the baton to another level. Because we are the generation of today.
You believe that churches of Rwanda today are being partners in the strides being made?
Obviously. Without actual participation of churches, I believe there is a portion that can be lacked.
I appreciate it. Now, we're coming to the end, and it's been an amazing show, having such a team like yourself, and we've been having really good reviews. I love the fact that your scenarios, your stories are totally different, and each of them is just very strong. And I love the way each of you is already doing contributions to the strides made by the country, and also upholding the same values that the country has installed in us. Now, as we come to the end, I want each of us to give a message to the public. And this message should contain the following. What do you think you are committed as a person to do in the next years ahead? And what do you think that the fellow young people, together with you, should uphold, and as we keep, having the strides made, ahead? Basically, so we'll begin with Peter, we'll end with Meghan. It's a message, and then we come to the end.
My message to young people and the rest of the country is we've got what we didn't deserve as young people. Our parents, our elders fought for the country we are having now. It is our responsibility to do whatever it takes and uphold our country and make it the country that we want.
So what's your commitment as a person?
Young people? My commitment is to keep becoming the best in whatever ways and helping others around me to become the best of themselves.
Interesting. Thank you, Mr. Peter. My pleasure to hear such a commitment. Yes, Ms. Alexander.
Okay, thank you. My message goes, first of all, to parents. Parents who experienced the 1994 genocide against Tutsi, please, you know what happened. And it was due to the ideology that what happened had to happen. So if you can share a message that is going to build your children, to build the country that is beyond what we are just seeing, that will be a great contribution beyond what we have just seen. Number two, message goes to young people, including myself. We have got, just like Peter said, what we didn't deserve. It is our time now to uphold what we have been given and represent, make advocacy of our country. Wherever we go, we make sure that we stand as representatives. It doesn't matter. Yes. So I love it when, like, just like I told you, when I go to India and come back, like last few days, we had specialists coming from India to come and help Rwandese, just because they loved how we interacted, and I, tried to share with them how Rwanda is. So I encourage young people to be, representatives of their country, whether inside or outside, and make sure that they share the message, that is very clear, to challenge and actually contradict the negative information that is spread all around by people who don't come from home. So we take advantage as people who are inside the house to share what is in the house, not people from out to share what they don't even know about. So it is our time. So my commitment is now to spread the good news of what Rwanda is today, either to the people who belong to the country Rwandese, or the people who are outside, and try to share the message that is going to transform young people positively.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. That's good. Ms. Meghan, you are such a public figure, and you're already doing amazing work, through a project and visiting schools and all that. So in regard to this, what's your message in regard to this topic we've had today, but also what's your commitment?
Thank you. Well, it's every youth's individual responsibility to know our history and to build our country and to, uphold and the flag. We have, our elders have set our standards so high that we have to work now so much.
That's true.
To keep it going. And I always say this, during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, many of the youth have worked tirelessly day and night, doing bad things, killing. So how about us who are not going to work day and night killing? What are we supposed to do? We are supposed to work day and night upholding our country, day and night developing our country. So we're also supposed to work, we're supposed to put in double efforts, if not triple, because these people, during the 1994, they killed children, they killed the youth who are supposed to be bringing other people into this country. So they literally killed a generation and another generation that wasn't born. Wow. So we gotta work hard and tirelessly and double our efforts to meet the standards that we're supposed to be on today.
Interesting.
Yeah. So my message to the youth is we should work tirelessly, and also we shouldn't work thinking of us. We should work thinking of other upcoming generations.
Like they thought about us.
Like they thought about us, thank you. We should work thinking of the people that are going to come after us. Mm-hmm. We should lay a standard for them that they should also build on, So as an individual, what I think I would commit to is spreading this to the young people and also working tirelessly, as I have mentioned, to develop our country.
So the whole bottom line is we should work tirelessly.
True.
Because we have a task of tripling or even quadruple.
Yes.
Interesting. Thank you so much for being with me tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander.
Well,
Peter, it was amazing. Let's tirelessly work together, and let's thank the team of young men and women by that time who left everything they had, including ranks, including jobs, including comfort zones, including Western style, and they left their parents, they left their children, they left their cousins and sisters and all that, and they fought for this country. They stopped the bloodshed, the bloodbath, and they fought tirelessly, like Ms. Wanda was saying, and finally they gave us the country, and they built it, and now we have a debt that we have to pay. And paying that debt is working tirelessly, tripling, even quadruple, the work they've done so as to keep the message going on, the strides happening as they are happening now. It was my joy. Frank Rubaduka is always your host every Sunday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Let's keep remembering, and let's keep the unity amongst us. Thank you so much to the survivors. Sorry, and we love you. And you were the only people who have something to give, like our president said. So let's keep the message of hope, the message of love. Thank you.
mwaba musobanura